Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff show. On today's show, we're going to be talking about the books that are on FOC, or Final Order Cutoff, this Monday, March 2nd. And we have a lot of fun things to talk to you about. Well, it's a lot of continuing series. There are not only some new books, there are some new publishers that will be available to the direct market. And we're going to have a specialist from one of the world's largest publishers and distributors here to talk to you about that, so that not only you as the consumer, but you as the retailers can learn how to get some amazing graphic novels and comics on your shelves. So stay tuned. This is going to be a fun episode after this opener. Are we going to get the opener?
It played. Oh, the video, the thing. The other thing.
Yeah,
we're good. People know that if they want to buy the Dan Mora cover of the one book or the other cover of the other book, that they should call their local comic shop. I don't know why that part didn't play. We should do that now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mathias Lewis, and I'm here to talk to you about FOC, or Final Order Cutoff. It is the last chance that we, the comic retailers, have to finalize our orders for comics releasing roughly 3 to 6 weeks out from the Mondays we finalize our orders. We deal with this every Monday, but this is important to you, the consumer, because it is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop if you want any specific or guaranteed items. If you want the Jim Lee or Dan Mora covers of Justice League Unlimited, reach out to your local comic shop and let us know. If you want the new issue of Lilo and Stitch, this is the perfect time to tell us. Because as long as you can get us the orders before Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that will give your local comic shop retailer enough time to finalize that order, adding in whatever it is you want, so they can guarantee when it releases, we have a copy set aside waiting for you. So, always reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. on Mondays with the comics you want. The sooner, the better, to guarantee they're waiting for you.
Oh, that was the best opening we've ever had. And I always need to have that video where we talk about that Dan Mora cover to Justice League Unlimited, because I get to remind myself I looked way better a year and a half ago. All right. Kyle is lost.
You still wear the Somna shirt most days. Most Fridays when you do this show. I think it's still funny you're still wearing that shirt.
What can I say? It was the best of distillery. But all right. We are talking about comics that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, March 2nd, 2026. Some amazing books. And as always, we want to introduce you to the websites, the 2 key websites where you'll see all of the comics on FOC this Monday. If you are a fan of your Marvel, Distillery, IDW, Dark Horse, Boom Studios, Kodansha, Square Enix, 7 Seas Manga, and more, you're going to want to go to their distributor, Penguin Random House Comics, at prhcomics.com. There you see this wonderful website. Right here we have on screen. Right off the bat, they know what's up. It's the first thing you can click on. Clicking on that will get you to a wonderful list of all of the books. We always recommend sorting it A to Z so you can see everything. But we get it. There are fans out there of DC Comics, Image, Dynamite, Oni Press, and more. And for that, we recommend their key distributor, lunardistribution.com. Lunardistribution.com will get you to a website like this. You'll scroll down a small bit past the awesome preview section we'll talk about later to upcoming FOC. Make sure you're clicked on the right date, March 2nd, 2026. And you will see all the incredible books they have to offer on FOC. Now, there's something fun about FOC at Lunar this week. Kyle, do you know what's up?
There's a book before Absolute?
There is, but they're introducing a new publisher to their distribution range with their first FOC this week. And as such, I thought it would be incredible to bring on the incredible, we're just going to keep saying incredible, the phenomenal special market specialists of publisher and distributor HarperCollins, John Petrie.
Hey, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending where you are and when you are watching this.
Hey, John, how are you doing?
I am doing excellent, Mathias. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate you coming on. Now, John, you've had quite the time in this industry. You have done everything from retail sales, publisher work, and now you are with one of the largest and well-known publishers in the world, HarperCollins.
Yes. So, well, retail, probably about 30 years, kind of all together, including working 2 and 3 retail jobs at a time, including, I want to say 10 years plus at Forbidden Planet, which is a wonderful comic store here in New York. And then I worked for Valiant for 4 years in their sales department. So yes, I am approaching comics from a million different directions and so excited to be here. And, I have to tell you, I was one of those customers that did not always get in my FOCs and my subscription list on time. And now it's something that I do constantly.
Well, there you go. We can all always improve and make sure we get our local comic shop those FOC orders.
Yes.
All right. So tell us a little bit about what your role is at HarperCollins before we talk about the amazing things HarperCollins now has to offer in a wider range of opportunities to comic shops.
Sure. So I started at Harper just next month will be a year and a half. And I am in the special markets department, which kind of everything that sort of is outside of a bookstore, but that still sells books in a way is part of. And when I was interviewing, they said, "Hey, you like comic books?" And I said, "I love comic books." And I kind of twisted my computer around to show them a couple of my cabinets. And they were like, "That's great. You'll be working with Diamond." And I was like, "Wonderful." And so came in and had hopefully some really good ideas about things that we could do differently and kind of look at things in a different way, and very excited to bring HarperCollins graphic novels to Lunar distribution.
And that is the amazing thing. So, unfortunately, in this post-Diamond world, comic shops have lost access to a large number of incredible publishers and amazing perennial books. But thanks to 2 different methods, you can still get HarperCollins books. Now, if you're a retailer or you want HarperCollins books at your local comic shop, you can talk to your retailer and have them reach out to John directly. I believe that email address you have on screen is a great way to contact you, correct?
Yes, that is my email. That will go directly to me. I am, after Comics Pro, catching up on all of my emails, and slowly but surely, I think by the end of today, I will finally be caught up. So I will be responding to everything in real time.
All right. And if a comic shop wants to stock the entire inventory of HarperCollins, they can always go and sign up with a direct account through you. Yes?
Yes, they can sign up with me with a direct account. We also, if it's something where you just want to be informed of what's coming up and you want to take the new stuff through Lunar, you can just send me your email and we can add you to our newsletter. That goes out once a month, the beginning of the month, just so you have an idea of what's going to be coming up. But yeah, direct account, Lunar account. Listen, we're all working this together, They have some of our backlist, not everything yet. We're still working on that slowly but surely. So if there's something that you are interested in, be it genre or title or creator, and you don't see it on Lunar, reach out to me directly and we'll see what we can do and get everything set up.
And that leads us very perfectly into the fact that this week will be the first week Lunar Distribution offers HarperCollins books on Final Order Cutoff. So actually, before we go into that really quickly, I want to show on my screen, if anybody is ever curious about the wide range of HarperCollins books, on my screen right now, you can see at harpercollins.com a very easy way to view the website, and you can see all the things HarperCollins offers to reach out to your local comic shop and request that they order these either directly through John or as they become available through Lunar Distribution. You can see there is some amazing options, genres, and the like available. Very easy to search on here. So that is just harpercollins.com. But of course, as comic shops, it's easy to go Lunar Distribution. So let's talk about some of the HarperCollins items that are on FOC this Monday. And we're going to start it off with The Hobbit, which, look, John's got me a copy on this. I love this adaptation. I loved it when it came out as single issues roughly 40 years ago, not to date myself, but this new binding is stunning. I love the spot foilings, great hardcover. It's textured, and it has all of the incredible tales inside. So, John, do you want to talk about J.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit graphic novel?
Yes, so this is hard to believe, the 25th anniversary of the movies. So we have a lot of big plans. This was kind of the start of it. It's from, I want to say, last September, I believe. The months are all running together. But it is David Wenzel art. It is painted. It has new content from David. It goes back to the original version of the graphic novel. He kind of talks about how it came to be, how they processed it. There's new process art. There's never before seen artwork in it. And it's gorgeous. I mean, any Tolkien fan, any fan of Middle Earth, any fan of Dungeons and Dragons, this is going to be something that you really are going to want to take a look at.
That's absolutely stunning. Really great price point, too. $35 for an oversized, revised hardcover with all that extra content. And the thing that I adore about these, everything that we're talking about on this show, at least the first five items we're going to be talking about, all FOC this Monday with a nice, easy Lunar Distribution release date of April 1st. If you need it earlier, you can always reach out to John or have your local comic shop reach out to John. But these are going to be awesome. You cannot miss out on something as great as The Hobbit in comic form.
It's beautiful. I was so happy when I saw that this new version was coming out and they were going to add process pages and they were going to, who doesn't love behind the scenes on their comics? I mean, you love to see how it all gets made and put together, and it's just gorgeous.
All right. But now the next one is perhaps the most talked about film on Netflix until K-pop Demon Hunter dethroned it. One of the most beautiful animated movies ever, based off of one of the greatest comic series, Nimona.
N.D. Stevenson, this beautiful edition. It is the full story. There is an exclusive epilogue in this that was not seen on the webcomic. So even if you were reading it online, you're going to want to print this. There's bonus content. There's concept sketches, ND revised pages throughout. It's full color, and it's, I mean, if you haven't read Nimona yet, I mean, it's just a beautiful story. It's amazing. It's funny. It's sharp. It's smart. It's, in some ways I sort of likened it to some of my early X-Men reading, where you're sort of like, maybe the bad guy isn't the bad guy and maybe the good guys aren't the good guys. And it's just a great, fun fantasy book that should be on everyone's shelf. Everyone should read this book. Everyone should own a copy of this book. Buy two. You can put one in the freezer and bring it out for later. Give it away as a gift.
It is an emotional masterpiece and ridiculously affordable, because I would see zero problem paying $30 for it. You don't even have to pay $20. The MSRP on the Nimona trade paperback is $18.99. And on top of that, look at this. Look at how beautiful it is.
Now you have that one that you
Oh,
just showed. That is the deluxe limited edition,
yes.
which uh, right now is not available. We are talking with the inventory team and we'll see what happens moving forward. They wanted to make it a limited edition and deluxe. So this one here, the $18.99, does not have the sprayed edges, but hopefully very soon we will have some more information for you.
So I will say same dimensions, same
Yes, same.
beautiful, imagery and all that stuff inside. I have the fancy shiny cover. So you can ignore that because you're still going to get all of that awesomeness inside.
It's a gorgeous
Okay,
book. It's so much fun. And so, one of those once a year, read it and just feel good.
absolutely. So let's do another big one. The Simpsons.
Simpsons Colossal Compendium. It is 176 pages. Great price point, $19.99. And it is the Simpsons comics issues 106 to 199. So it's a lot, and it's for a great price. And it's The Simpsons. And, you want to relive your childhood, you want to have a good time, you want to just see what craziness Bart and Homer and Maggie and Marge and Lisa can get up to. You can't beat it. You can't beat The Simpsons.
Yeah, Matt Groening direct work on this too. That's just so awesome to because right now, where else are you getting The Simpsons? There is no Bongo Press anymore.
Yeah. So we have a lot of the Simpsons books, and we're working on more, but the Simpsons Colossal Compendium, we have 1 through 5. Volume 1 is the only one that's going to be on Lunar. All of the others, if you just reach out to me, if you are a store or if you are a consumer, ask your store to reach out to me, and we will talk about what we can do and get them on your shelves.
All right, so we've hit three major things. I mean, Tolkien, Stevenson, Groening. What could we possibly have next on Lunar's offering this Monday? Talk about a perennial. Scott McCloud's infamous Understanding Comics. This is a must read for anyone, whether they're a comic fan, comic retailer, or comic creator.
Yeah, I mean, this is the book on getting to know comics, getting to know them from a production perspective and how to put things together. And, Scott McCloud is the comic guy when it comes to that. It is a fantastic, amazing book. And, along with making comics and Zop, which is his graphic novel, it's just brilliant. Oh, and Reinventing Comics. How did I forget that? Sorry, Reinventing Comics as well.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I mean, this is a must. There are literal college courses that use this as a textbook. It is unbelievably informative, even for people who've been working in the industry for years. And the best part about it, it's not a prose novel. This is a comic about comics.
Yeah.
So,
And it's, as you said, whether you've been doing them for years, whether it's something that you just want to learn a little bit more about, it's one of those things that should be on anybody's shelf. And also, I think if you're into film too, understanding storyboarding and understanding angles and camera shots, it's brilliant.
yeah. And this is a thick graphic novel. Great price point. Again, $28.99. Very affordable for this.
Yeah. And one of those things, actually, along with Nimona and The Simpsons, when we were talking to Lunar about, bringing in backlist and what we should bring, all of these ones that we picked were just everybody who was involved in the decision was like, yeah, we think these are the ones that need to be out in the front. This is the front line. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, this next one is another unbelievable all ages masterpiece. based on a classic tale. Do you want to talk about Warriors?
Yeah. So Warriors, this is The Prophecies Begin. This is the first volume. And this covers the first two prose novels. And, we are in an age of, our generation grew up reading Warriors, and now their kids, their friends' kids, they can look at it in a different way. Next month on FOC will be volume 2, and the following month on FOC will be volume 3, all of which leads up to Warriors, the New Prophecy in June, end of June. So you can get all of these and be caught up. Great summer binge reading, wonderful for kids, kind of a manga style, and they are just fun and enjoyable, and more and more Warriors. There's a lot of side stories and all sorts of things. So again, any retailer who is interested, let me know. I can send you the full list, as Mathias knows, because I've sent him a giant PDF catalog of stuff. There's a lot of Warriors out there, and best of the best.
Absolutely. Now, there is another one that you guys are going to be presenting on an FOC. Actually, also on this FOC. I completely missed it, but I can share screen because I am totally capable of doing things like that. The Princess, or sorry, Lightfall.
Yes, this is how you just sometimes there's a book that you really love. And for me, one of the books I really loved was Twig. And then you sort of are like, oh, I want something else that makes me feel like that. This is that book for me. It is so wonderful. It is about a young girl on this faraway planet, and her name is Bee. And she goes on a quest to bring light back to her planet. And her grandfather is kind of like an alchemist who runs the Salty Pigs tonics and tinctures. And it's really fun. And again, this is another series. The new one, which is the fourth book in the Lightfall series, will be out in April, but we'll have 1, 2, and then kind of 3 and 4 offered all by then. So, well, right after that, again, reach out to me if you have any questions, but this is really fun. Did I send you this? I think I did.
You did. I need to sit down and read it. I hate to say it's that overwhelming log of books that I'm sure all of us face of like, man, I really wish I had more time for my to read pile, but every single week I get more added to it. But I am excited to actually sit down with my son and read this one together with him.
Yeah, great for middle grade. We talk a lot about reluctant readers, and there are people who think, well, it's comics and I don't know if I want to do that. I have to tell you, I would not have learned to love reading the way that I do now. I would certainly not be working in publishing if it were not for comics. They taught me how to read. They did so much to kind of expand my imagination. I mean, comics are everything.
I love it. All right. So those are some of the amazing HarperCollins books that are on FOC this week on Lunar Distribution. But I want to remind everyone, you can go to harpercollins.com and see a plethora of incredible pieces of sequential art to prose that are available now to your local comic shops, either through the traditional form of Lunar Distribution that is slowly bringing them out with the big hits initially that we just discussed, or if they want to dive deeper into this realm and gain you access to even more amazing pieces. Retailers, reach out to John, or customers, let your retailer know it is an option. And John, remind everyone, what is the best way they can reach out to you if they want to either learn more about the various offerings of HarperCollins or order direct?
Yeah, just shoot me an email. It is John, John, .Petrie, Petrie, at HarperCollins, all one word, .com. John.Petrie at HarperCollins.com. And you can ask Mathias. I am pretty quick with my responses. I don't leave my comic peeps hanging out there. I get those answers as soon as I can.
Awesome. All right, John, before we let you go, obviously we talked about the amazing ones that are on FOC right now from Lunar. I'm going to put you on the spot on this one, test your knowledge here. Are there any big recommendations that the average comic reader needs to be paying attention to of things currently available or in the very near future from HarperCollins? What are your personal big recommendations of HarperCollins' best?
Okay, so Nimona, obviously. Understanding Comics, obviously. One of my favorite series, which the first one will be on FOC on Monday, is Lee Knox Ostertag's Dungeons and Dragons Club, Time to Party. It is a middle grade graphic novel about a girl who starts a D&D club at her school, and her older sister that she has always idolized is kind of like talking about how this is so silly, and she kind of starts to doubt herself. It is so much fun. There's 3 in the series. One will be offered each month for the next 3 months, and you have the whole series. It is so much fun. I love reading it. I started playing Dungeons and Dragons during the pandemic after 30 years of not playing, and I was just like, I was getting my hands on everything D&D, and it was just so good. I would also say Alison Bechdel's Fun Home, which is also going to be on FOC on Monday. You can't beat that. Beautiful story, heartbreaking and funny and courageous. And the one that I am most looking forward to, which is coming out at the end of June, is going to be the graphic novel adaptation of The Princess Diaries, written by Meg Cabot, who wrote the original novel, art by Bethany Crandall. It is beautiful, the art is fun, and it's just it's so much fun to kind of see everything, and especially before the new Princess Diaries movie comes out. I don't have any inside information that they're making more than one sequel. So, but just so good. I am really looking forward to that. And then there are things that I just can't talk about yet. I'm sorry.
Well, we might have to bring you back on then so you can talk about them when you can.
Yes, I will definitely have some amazing news. I'm hoping I will have it by the time The Princess Diaries is out. Fingers crossed. Working with a lot of different departments to make sure I can talk about it.
That sounds amazing. That is the tease you end on right there. There is big news we can't share yet.
Yes. Well, always leave them wanting more and then just come back with a giant announcement. And I'm super excited. And if I say any more than that, I'm pretty sure I will be in real trouble.
All right. I want to remind everyone, well, these are now available on FOC this Monday through Lunar Distribution. You can see all of what HarperCollins has available at harpercollins.com. John, give that email address out one more time for anyone who wants to reach out for you for more or to order direct.
Yes, it is john.petrie, Petrie, at harpercollins.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, John. I cannot wait to get more incredible HarperCollins books to eventually talk to you about whatever the secret big new project is. And then, Meg Cabot doing Princess Diaries, I think that is an all-star seller.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this show. So important to remind people about FOC and getting to your local comic shop and saying, this is the one that I want. This is the cover that I want. This is the one that I want. They can never have too much information.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. We will talk to you again soon.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
All right, everyone. Now, shall we venture into the world of FOC and look at some of the other amazing titles that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday? What are your thoughts, Kyle?
I should probably turn my microphone on to have thoughts.
That's a good way to have
Is
thoughts.
my, is
Personally,
my
I
thought,
would,
yes.
yeah.
Because I was talking to you and you couldn't hear me. So yeah, there's there are some books on PRH this week that I have become very excited about, even in the last couple of hours. And there are some books on Lunar this week that I'm very excited about in the last couple of hours. But it's what's really interesting, what's really fun to me, I guess, about today is the addition of HarperCollins to Lunar. But some of the other stuff that's maybe not so much FOC, but hey, this has long-term ordering implications that is happening. Like again, one of the books that we're FOCing this week is the next big Marvel DC crossover, right? Which we'll talk about when we get over to Lunar. But guess what? We're on PRH right now, so that means the countdown has started to when we have to order the Marvel half of that thing. So now if you're ordering your DC today, maybe now's a good time to talk to your retailer about when you have to order the Marvel from PRH. So again, like there's a lot of long-term stuff that this week really kind of kicks off.
You're right. Let us just address the Kryptonian in the room on this. For those not already aware, Superman and Spider-Man, Spider-Man and Superman are about to have a crossover. Much like last year was the year of Batman and Deadpool, Deadpool and Batman, we're going to have two standalone one-shots from DC and Marvel crossing over two of their biggest characters. Excuse me one second while I cough. Kyle, please talk about the hype on this.
Well, you have Superman and Spider-Man hanging out, and you have the thing I'm most excited about, again, because we're talking about PRH right now, is Mark Waid is writing the Marvel half.
Yeah.
So
no,
that's
is
going to be big.
Yeah, the part that I always want to point out, because I don't think it was ever conveyed well last year. These are two very separate books. Well, they feature the same characters and many more. DC is going to have the DC titled character first, and Marvel's going to have the Marvel titled character first, but they are not the same book. They are additional stories. They are standalone one-shots. You can read them in either order. You can read one without the other, but why would you do that? So first, later today, we'll be talking about Superman, Spider-Man, and then FOCing a week later, we'll be talking about Spider-Man, Superman. Help your story. Save your retailer's mind and money by letting them know exactly what it is you want, which covers, and let's be honest, which covers, because I know I'm not the only one buying multiples of each of these. So let's start it off, though, with PRH. We'll get to Superman, Spider-Man eventually. March 2nd, this Monday, FOC from Penguin Random House, PRH Comics. We're going to start the scroll through here. A lot of great continuing series like Booms, Alice Forever After. But right off the bat, a brand new Tale of Xenomorphs from Marvel, Alien, King Killer. Saladin Ahmed takes over the Xenomorph-loving franchise with a deadly new tale of everyone's favorite Geiger-esque beast from the dark abyss of space. I mean, what's not to love? Like, even my son is getting into the Xenomorphs right now. A lot of great covers available on this too.
I've decided that there's a crossover I want.
I'm curious.
Alien versus Null.
Ooh.
The Xenomorph god, or the Xenomorph versus the symbiote god.
Yeah, I'm in. I am 100% in.
How fun would
We
that
have
be?
an upcoming Queen in Black, and while I'm 110% certain it's not a Xenomorph Queen, I wouldn't be opposed.
David Gabriel, call me.
There it is. All right. As always, I want to point out that we generally are going to talk DC books over at Lunar Distribution. The graphic novels, hardcovers, and omnibuy of DC are available through Penguin Random House as well as they are Lunar. But we'd like to talk to them over at Lunar because that's where you're going to find your single issues. So talk to your store. They may choose ordering routes different from us, but that's why we offer these websites up for availability. So the next big one, a standalone one-shot, perfectly timed for April Fools, because April 1st is a Wednesday, new comic book day. It's April Fool's Day. Yes, Deadpool getting an April Fool's one shot. And here's the big part. Gail Simone is back. Gail Simone is the writer of April Fool's Day and the former writer of Deadpool returning in a triumphant return. What are your thoughts on that one, Kyle?
I'm going to say something controversial here. As long as it's better than the X-Men has been recently, I'm super in.
Wow, that is controversial.
I think here's, and I'm going to say this in a way that's going to make a lot more sense. I think Gail was doing such a good job on the X-Men that when they got to the middle of the storyline and they had to stall, which they've clearly been stalling for a few issues, it's gotten a little bit iffy. Because she just wants to keep doing craziness. Because that's what has made it great.
Yeah.
So as long as it's normal Gail Simone and not the recent 3 issues of X-Men Gail Simone, I'm super in.
There it is. I got to say, I love that variant with Death's Head as a helmet on Deadpool.
100%. We don't get enough Death's Head these days.
We really don't. Great classic sci-fi Marvel character. All right. Next up, in a weirder but amazingly cute manga. Often I think of Seven Seas doing the mature books, and it seems like they're breaking away a little bit with these next two. The Delinquent and the Transfer Student. A young Japanese high school student's favorite thing is to get the delinquent, badass female student to say cute, heartwarming things. And she generally will give in to this. But what happens when that starts turning the delinquent student a little bit more red in the cheeks? Could a relationship spur from this cute interaction between friends? That is what the Delinquent and the Transfer Student offers us in its opening volume. And it is a lot more heartfelt than the traditional Seven Seas, ecchi-esque manga that we're used to. Nevertheless, I think it's a cute Yuri entry point for anyone who is looking into that. It just has all sorts of fun written across its pages. So, a little bit of a shocking twist from the publisher, but I'm open to it with arms wide open. I am really bad with that.
Yeah, way to quote Creed there. Somehow I think this is going to be more Seven Seas than it leads on, right? I feel like this has a lot of potential to be like Sandy and Danny from Grease and a little bit less, stand and deliver or whatever. So, I can't, maybe a little less Can't Buy Me Love and a little more Danny and Sandy from Grease where there's serious sexual tension. But I'm excited for Seven Seas to do something a little different.
Yeah, but if they end up singing as they fly off in a car at the end, I'm okay.
That's
with
Grease
it.
2, homie.
Is that Grease 2? I thought that was the end of Grease 1. Like Grease 2 is I couldn't, I was a beauty school dropout and now I'm trying to make do with the new class. God, are we really discussing Grease movies on the stream?
Yes.
Hey everyone,
yes,
FOC Grease. This is how it goes.
Right.
All right, another great Seven Seas twist. Doggo. Doggo is the tale, Doggo is the tale of a young girl who adopts a very cute. What is that? Is that a bulldog? Is that a French bulldog?
It's a bulldog or maybe it's a pug. It's kind of hard to tell. When I read the PDF of this, it doesn't explicitly say what breed of dog this was. Now they may in the full book, but I only got a handful of pages.
Yeah,
but this is, oh my God, I'm so excited for this book. I didn't realize this was on FOC. Whew.
Do you want to talk it up or shall I?
You give them the spiel, and I will talk about why this is the best manga that's going to come out in the next 2 months.
All right. Young girl adopts a, rough and rowdy fighting dog that talks, only to have her new ownership make the dog realize she's a Yakuza daughter. Her new owner is the daughter of the head of the Yakuza, and this battling street dog now has Yakuza bodyguards that are not going to make his life easy. Crazy twist. Again, not the traditional Seven Seas form, but, who can say no to a pet manga? Kyle?
Well, so here's why this is the best manga that's going to come out in the next few months. This is a talking dog manga. I'm sure Matthias could go into the history of talking dog mangas, same as I could. Whenever there is a talking pet in a manga, you're going to get hijinks and hijinkery, unlike other manga, right? And when you pair what is still considered to be a very taboo subject in parts of the world in the Yakuza, and, you kind of be like, here's this talking dog that's going to cause trouble, meets this very secretive organization that is considered highly dangerous, and this dog is going to mess with them. You get what I am calling manga Beethoven.
We're in the deep cuts of cinema history right now.
Right. The dad from Beethoven who can't stand the dog but falls in love with the dog is the Yakuza in this book. I've read the first 20 pages and I absolutely loved it. And I am absolutely thrilled that this is coming out.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. More fun. And it's I love again that we are having these opportunities to bring to FOC things that traditionally happen. Classic books like HarperCollins, amazing manga from the likes of 7C, Tokyo Pop, Kodansha, Square Enix, etc., etc., etc. But it is just brilliant that we are at this moment now that FOC has expanded so much beyond what it originally started as. And this is one of those great ones that you can now ask your comic shop that may even have only ever carried Marvel and DC in the past, and they can now introduce these things into their shop for you. So it's always worth communicating to your local comic shop if you want these. Sometimes your shop already has an extensive and amazing manga section. Sometimes all they need is that little push in the right direction, and maybe they're just getting the copy for you so you can be taken care of. But who knows? It might drive them down that twisted yellow brick road of Japanese sequential art. All right. Next up, let's talk prose. Although there is a D&D crochet book, which is a fun note in there.
Yeah, I totally ordered that for my sister, the D&D crochet book.
Yeah.
She's a big crocheter, and I don't know if there's one in there, but I really want her to crochet me an owlbear.
Oh, you know what? Oh, there is. I see it right there.
Yeah, but I need like a big one.
Yeah,
like I want big enough that I could sit it at a table.
You got to talk to her about making a mimic for me.
Okay.
All right. In the world of prose, Enemy of My Enemy, a new Daredevil Marvel crime novel. It is prose from Hyperion Publishing by Alex Segura. Yes, the same Alex Segura who is writing Star Wars is now writing a Daredevil prose novel. I mean, need I say more? If you're not getting enough Daredevil in the sequential art pages of Marvel Comics, now you can take it home with a great read.
I'm looking something up because this has sparked something in my brain that we may need to talk about. 1 second.
One of the things I want to point out is when you look these up on PRH with the prose novels, this is an excerpt. You can actually read some of the novel directly to see if this is your, ideal reading material. There's even great praise from top authors and publishers, as well as things like Publishers Weekly, an always trustworthy option. Fun way to test it out. So what do you got for me, Kyle?
Alex Segura, if you're trying to figure out where you know the name from, right? Like he wrote Dick Tracy for Mad Cave, Justice League Unlimited over at DC. He's written a bunch of Archie, Wolverine, but he is one of the people behind Marvel's Daredevil, the Illustrated History from Insight, which came out last year, which is a book I just picked up for a friend of mine. So he is the writer on that book as well, which is, again, just this almost like those old DK books that you'd get in school, where it was like the encyclopedia of Marvel Comics or whatever. But this was the illustrated history of the character Daredevil. So Alex Segura is one of the foremost knowledge bases on Daredevil, even though this is really his first work in Daredevil.
You know, the funny thing is, I will always remember Alex as a young man working in marketing for DC, doing the DC blog. That's how far back.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. That's how far back I know him as well. But it's one of those like, hey, our friend that we've known a long time is finally like hit the big time. And I'm excited to try and work out to have an interview with him here on the EXP when this comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked to him a few times. We're trying to get him on the show, so we'll have to pull this off at some point. All
Absolutely.
right. We talked about D&D Crochet, but if we're going to talk about D&D, we got to talk about this brand new book from Ignition Press. Everyone Loves a Jewel Thief. And you're going to ask, what does a jewel thief have to do in D&D? Well, what if I told you we have to make a heist, and the team we're going to put together is your former Dungeons and Dragons group from your college days? Now, that could go either incredibly or, in my experience, an absolute disaster because my D&D
We're getting
group
arrested so hard.
struggled to open the door. Yes. But Everyone Loves a Jewel Thief is Tim Seeley and Aaron Campbell telling the tale of a young author who unfortunately hasn't published anything in years. He's now about to lose everything. His agent, his job at the college where he talks about writing, and more. So the only way to do this, the perfect way to write the best novel ever, is to manipulate reality around you by doing a jewel heist. The cold open already exists on this, and some stores may have it. But this new series is going to be amazing. I've read the cold open. I am so excited to read the ongoing series. Ash cans, I believe, are out now from Ignition Press. So if your store gets those, give it a flip through. But regardless if you have access to any of this, this is a book to order on FOC. This is going to be a fun, out there, and unique one. And definitely has the Tim Seeley vibes because Tim knows that fantasy realms and worlds of D&D. And will integrate it in the most unique ways, much in the way that Stranger Things did, but very differently in a heist film in comic proportions.
Is there someone in your old D&D group who you think is capable of a bank heist or a jewel heist?
I think everyone in my old D&D group is capable. I think everyone in my old D&D group is capable of getting arrested with the plan before it was even put to action. Again, these are the guys who
exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah, these are the people whose skill checks were so poor that they'd spend an hour trying to figure out how to break down a door that was not locked.
Yes. Or they would break into the jewelry store, and it turns out it's the candy store next door.
Yeah.
Like, we've done all this work and we've missed the building completely. Oh, I'm getting triggered right now. We need to move on.
All right. Well, really quickly, I want to remind everyone, retailers particularly, if you order enough copies of Everyone Loves a Jewel Thief, ash cans are available with this that will come out around the same time of the new Rob Guillory piece, Innards. Innards, I am very excited about because it is a really cool concept using teleportation, but not the Star Trek way. It is redneck teleportation, which means things don't go the way they should. So I'm excited about Everyone Loves a Jewel Thief. I'm even more excited to get that in front of people alongside Rob Guillory of Chew and Farmhand fame's new book in ash can form. So awesome, fun stuff. I love Ignition Press for those things. I love having those ash cans to hand to customers, picking them up to give them a read, all those really fun additions that Ignition Press is bringing to the industry. All right. So let's go back to a classic. We talked about some classic films on this show tonight, but let's talk about a classic piece of play work. In the 16th century, I want to say it was the 1590s before we hit the 1600s, William Shakespeare wrote a play that would guide literary works for centuries, Romeo and Juliet. And now we've found a way to improve it. Godzilla's Monsterpiece Theater presents Romeo and Juliet and Godzilla. I think that we've hit a moment of literary perfection. Could there truly ever be better?
If there isn't a line that says, Godzuki, Godzuki, wherefore art thou Godzuki? We're doing it wrong.
Yep. All right. Yep. There was the height of literary skill. Kyle presents it to you. This is a one-shot, spinning out of the style of the original Godzilla Monster Piece Theater miniseries. This is a standalone, done in one. Yes, you even get Godzilla and Robin Hood in there. I love these. Like the previous miniseries dealing us tales like Great Gatsby and Dracula with Godzilla. Look, it proves the point that everything gets better with Godzilla, but you're taking the masterpiece of Romeo and Juliet, and I cannot wait. Some brilliant covers in there. I love Godzilla ripping off the top to the Globe Theater. All of this is just delightful, beyond delightful.
Hark, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east. And Mecha Godzilla is the sun.
Indeed. Some great news stories in Hello Darkness, including Sam Humphrey's continuing tale and a new one by Jorge Corona. That should be attention worthy. Some great prose looks like in Hex House. I'm a little excited about that one. You, Kyle?
Yeah, it looks like a very interesting concept for a prose novel. It's not my prose book of the week because I found between Alex Segura and the book that winds up becoming my prose book of the week, Hex House feels almost a little too traditional for me this week. But it's a solid story, solid from Titan Books, who they tend to tell stories that are set in Scotland, England, places where people wear kilts. So if you're into sort of Banshees on the Moors, not necessarily bodice ripping sci-fi from that part of the world, but kind of rainy spookiness, that's one to check out for sure.
All right. And next up, a unique one I am actually truly excited for. How to Survive the End of the World. Because look, now more than ever, it feels like it could be in our lifetimes. This awesome new piece from Katie Dowdy is surprisingly filled with factual explorations and data-driven concepts as she talks to various experts and applies the ideas of how things have survived in the past and what fears we might be facing. I just looking at this list, I love this because she points out 99.9% of all species that have lived are extinct. So it's bound to happen to us eventually. So how will we survive infectious diseases, AI, interplanetary exploration, and more in sequential art form? Again, all the fun we can get. There are photos that give you previews of upcoming pages in there, praise from incredible literary sources and creators. There's even teacher guides of how to use this in the classroom. I wish I could enroll in whatever class is going to use this. But nevertheless, How to Survive the End of the World just seems like a fun and goofy, crazy to say this, non-fiction graphic novel.
I just love the statistic that 90% of species that have ever existed are extinct.
It's a sad reality, but when you really think of the wide range of it, there's not many dinosaurs.
Exactly. It's exactly. It's you don't think about it, but we're going to go extinct eventually. And it just takes that analogy to kind of drive that home.
Yeah. Got to just give a quick note to Marvel Rivals Duel of the Kings. That's the battle we've been waiting for, and Marvel Rivals will bring it to us in a proper way. It is Black Panther versus the true king of the sea, Namor. And there's a little bit of Jeff the Land Shark in there, too. So can't say no to that.
I thought you were going to say Jeff the Land Shark was the true king of the sea, and I was going to have to take you off the screen.
Oh, look. I love Jeff the Land Shark. I love Jeff the Land Shark.
Right, but he's literally the land shark, so he can't be the king of the sea, man.
I'm going to get in trouble by Marvel lawyers, my illegally printed Jeff the Land Shark piece right here. But there is but one, and he is the true king of Atlantis, Namor, Mackenzie.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
Yeah. A lot of great continuing series. Not a lot that we need to go too much detail in, but let's get to Kyle's
Pros
ever
pick of the week. I swear I'm going to make that. So, this is the Quarter Queen. It's by Kayla Hardy. It's from Ballantine Books. This is Kayla's debut novel. This is a story about 19th century New Orleans, which is very racially divided, but it's also magically divided in the sense that there are people who, in the 1840s in New Orleans, very much believed in magic, believed in voodoo, believed in the dark arts, and there are people who very much were like, that is not a thing that we can have happen here in New Orleans. You know, you had those people too. And so it's a very interesting time for someone to be a voodoo priestess or a witch set in that time. So this is an actual novel inspired by the life of Marie Laveau, who was a real person, who was a voodoo queen. And so this is actually about her daughter, who is very different than her mother. Very different than the Marie Laveau we think we know. And so this is the coming of age tale that kind of has the whole Marie Laveau at the end of her life and her daughter becoming the voodoo queen of New Orleans at a time where maybe she doesn't want to be. So Quarter Queen, again, is mystery. It's got, the mysteries of that time. It's got, some real antebellum South stuff happening. It's got, again, some great voodoo magic, great Creole culture stuff, but also like this idea of what is it like to be a teenager whose parents' shadow you are always going to live in.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. You have taken a book I glanced at and now 100% sold me on picking it up. So that is definitely on my FOC orders this week now.
Yeah, this was one that, like I said, I was leaning towards the Alex Segura book, right? Because like I love Alex and I love Daredevil, but then you start reading this book, you start looking at this book, and you start reading these pull quotes, and you start looking at all of the different bits for this book, and it just seems like it's something that people are going to dig.
Yeah, I am fully into this. It sounds amazing.
Right. And Todd Harris, who wrote Eyes of Wakanda.
Yeah.
If you read that,
I have.
Which is a great book. Kayla Hardy's meditation on maternal legacy and political intrigue, flavored with a heaping spoonful of Creole voodoo, is truly something special. Was enough to make me interested alone. And then you saw there's one from Sarah Penner, who wrote The Lost Apothecary, which is a New York Times bestseller. There's a bunch of people who are big names who are going, hey, you need to pay attention to this writer in this book.
I like it. All right. So let's see. The last big one I really want to talk about, Penguin Random House this week, is a last issue, and it just rips my soul out that this could be the final issue. So I really want to emphasize, if you haven't been reading Star Trek Lower Decks from IDW, if you ever loved that masterpiece of animation on Paramount Plus, Tim Sheridan and Ryan North have been killing it. The final issue of Star Trek Lower Decks is on FOC this Monday, issue 18. And I already had to say goodbye to the crew of the Cerritos in animated form. I don't want to say goodbye again. Please order this book and make sure Paramount and IDW understand we are not ready to part with Boiler and his buddies. It's amazing. But yes, if you've ever loved Lower Decks, trade paperbacks are available. In fact, you can always scroll down, see what is still available, and talk to your local comic shop about ordering. It is so much fun. It is so great. I don't want this to end. I don't. It is phenomenal. So this is a plead from me as the guy you guys watch on Fridays. Read this. It's fun. It is so fun. All right. Shall we pop on over to Lunar Distribution and see what their offers are this week?
We shall. We shall.
All right. I want to remind everyone, Lunar Distribution, just a quick scroll down. There are amazing previews that are available that you can just simply click on, like, say, Feral, which has its big issue 21 on FOC. You can simply click like this and view preview pages for some of these things that anyone has access to by going to lunardistribution.com. Even amazing things. Now, this is the dangerous one, but I double checked it. Sunstone Volume 2, one of the greatest romantic comedies you'll ever see. You can just scroll down and read previews of these amazing comics. So, if you're curious about these, on the fence, this is a great way. They have a large list of previews. Kyle has brought it up to you guys countless times, but I want to reiterate, this is a good way to go.
I like how I bring it up to talk about like something about, normal books, and you're like, do you like lesbians? Here's Sunstone.
What can I say? It works.
No, and again, guys, like Sunstone, by the way, is not a book that had traditionally been available through distribution for a long time. But now it's at Lunar through, what is it, Massive Indies?
Oh, no, actually through Top Cow, Image Comics.
Top Cow, yes. Fantastic. So again, it's like this idea of paying attention to these books that you used to kind of have to know where to go on the internet, right? You had to know Stepan Sejic. You had to know where to find his Kickstarters. You had to know where to, his website to get these books. And now they're just available through mass distribution, and you can order them through your local comic shop. It's a great time for some of these publishers to finally be hitting mainstream again.
Yeah, and to top it off, these new editions, as you can see here, are a smaller, compact size format at a more affordable price, which means there's no excuse not to read them, because I own these things in hardcover, in trade, and now these beautiful new covers, I'm buying them again in pocket size. But I was having a dinner with Matt Hawkins from Top Cow last week, and I mean, he's told me this countless times, but again, this is the highest selling graphic novel Top Cow's ever had. It is unbelievable that a company known for Witchblade, The Darkness, Artifacts, all these amazing books, this is their big one. And in the same, when you read it, you'll utterly understand why it is a masterpiece.
I was just going to say that, like, it is shocking that is their big book. That is the biggest seller. But it isn't shocking at all when you've read Sunstone. Like, it is really, truly one of the best relationship stories in comics. It's not nearly as toxic as anything with Cyclops in it.
Absolutely. All right, so diving in, we have the books on FOC this March 2nd. We have new Absolute release titles. We have a brand new Betty and Veronica pin-up special. All sorts of lovely art of Archie's 2 Gal Fridays. And there's foil versions available. So that will be a fun and exciting twist. I'm personally really hyped on this issue of Back Issues because it's a dragon-based issue. Everything that could possibly have dragon attached to it. Dragon Lance, Dragon Man, Lockheed the Dragon, Savage Dragon, the Daughters of the Dragon, and even the Dragon from Bone. What a crazy combination. But let's do it. Tomorrow's Publishing generally always puts out great tales in their Back Issues magazine, but this one's a fun and goofy theme. Then another
Captain
one.
Underpants.
You mean
Are we there
Captain
yet?
Underpants, the manga?
Yes. Okay.
Dave Pilkey.
Go ahead. You talk about it, and then I'm going to show you guys something in just a second.
All right, Dave Pilkey is one of the most popular and highest-selling sequential art masters in the industry. You might think Batman or X-Men sell well. They don't touch a fraction on Dogman and Captain Underpants. This is the book that every kid in school is reading and loving. It is a masterpiece of scholastic graphics, and this is going to bring it to another level because now you can target everyone who loves Dogman and Captain Underpants and the manga audience There's a reason why Lunar is offering your retailer a display. I think this is well worth your attention if you have a young reader in your life you're looking to get into some more fun. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm not always the greatest fan of this type of content with my kid, but my kid loves it, and I love him reading. So, Captain Underpants, the manga series. What is it you got for us, Kyle?
Okay. So this is my 5-year-old nephew with all of his Dave Pilkey books. He's got them all lined up in order, ready to go. He can't read, but he can read Dave Pilkey. If you have a young reader in your life and you're not ordering Captain Underpants and Dogman and Cat Kid Comic Club for them, you're doing them a disservice towards their future literacy. Okay, like I don't want to be blunt about it, but this is a kid who is, listen. I'm a dum-dum. I went to art school to learn to make pretty picture on the internet. Okay, this is a kid who's reading well above grade level at 5. He knows more words than I did in high school, and he's 5 years old because he reads, and he reads Dave Pilkey. And that's such a huge boon for a kid of that age. So now to introduce manga and to kind of be able to say, okay, kid, this is Captain Underpants, who you know and love. But let me introduce you to this other kind of storytelling that is so essential and such a big part of Japanese culture. Such a big part of other cultures that he hasn't been exposed to yet, right? To say, hey man, check this out. And be able to show him, again, maybe not Berserker yet, but like I can show him my manga copies of Speed Racer. Something like that that's maybe a little bit more appropriate for his age group, and kind of start to teach him the ways of the manga. Because he's introduced to it by Dave Pilkey.
I love it.
This is how we build readership in this business, guys. And then when these kids grow up, what do they buy? They buy compact editions from Marvel and DC, and then they want to know about the Dark Knight Returns and the Watchmen and all this kind of stuff. And then I can show them the fun stuff like Preacher. And tell him not to tell his mother.
That's the connection right there from Captain Underpants to Ass Face.
Yeah. It's all in the underwear.
There it is. All right. And now for something completely different. Carbon-based. It is the art book of Louis LaRosa. Excuse me again while I cough off my... I have been using my voice way too much recently. Carbon-based is the art of Louis LaRosa, one of the most talented new artists in the industry. I have been adoring his stuff from Valiant Entertainment to Bad Idea, and now thanks to Oni Press, we have a nice art book, hardcover, that will collect all of his stunning artwork. So always fun. And if you have a great Webtoons following, or you want to drag people off of their phones and into your store, Cinnamon Roll is the way to do it. Look, there's a softcover that's notably more affordable. Let me point that out. Softcover is $20. This hardcover will shock you. I could just about guarantee you that Rocket Ship underpriced this beautiful hardcover with the die-cut heart, with the textured foil, glossy hardcover treatment that will instantly sell any viewer into picking this up off the shelf. And then the stunning artwork throughout this, the beautiful romantic comedy in this will just guarantee a sale. This is a brilliant book. I think that anyone who sleeps on it is making a mistake. And this is the type of thing that once again brings new audiences into your comic shop, or might just be the way that you discover new genres and new parts of the world of sequential art and comics. Woo! Actually, you know what? I'm gonna break away the traditional order. I'm gonna tell you this is our honorable mention later, or now. This will be our honorable mention, but I want to start off with the details.
It makes me so uncomfortable.
It is. I mean, it's Steve Dillon. He back when he was still with us. But this is a stunning hardcover from our boys at Rebellion, the people who bring us 2000 AD magazine and Judge Dredd magazine. This is all of Alan Moore's big hits from his early days, before Watchmen, before Warrior magazine, before V for Vendetta, Swamp Thing, and all the things that we think of as some of the greatest sequential art storytelling in comics from one of the top writers in the industry. This is the early things that really helped him cut his teeth. You're going to get, I mean, just Future Shocks. You'll get Ballad of Halo Jones. You'll get Rogue Trooper Tales and more, written by Alan Moore. All of this in one massive hardcover binding, not to be slept on. We'll talk a little bit more on this in the honorable mention, but I just really want people to see this here and track it back down, because this is something that not all stores are going to order. It's a pricey book. But if you want to really dive into some of the best sequential art you will ever read, get the real Dreaming of London, early 80s, Alan Moore, 2000 AD. This is it. All right. We've been waiting for it. We've been building for it. We opened the show with it. It's Superman, Spider-Man. The crossover that I believe we're at 50 years since we got this originally in large treasury size format from both DC and Marvel. Superman and Spider-Man are teaming up again. You're getting some of the top creators in the industry, everything from Mark Waid, Tom King, Matt Fraction, Sean Gordon Murphy, Gail Simone, Christopher Priest, Greg Rucka, Jeff Lemire, Jorge Jimenez, Jim Lee, Steve Lieber, Sean Murphy. Again, we just got to really drop Sean Murphy as many times as possible. Belen Ortega, Daniel Sampier, Nicholas Scott, Rafa Sandoval, and more. It's not just Superman. It's not just Spider-Man. It is a bevy of Marvel and DC covers or characters, all bound within one cover, technically over 20 covers. One issue, $8. Do not miss out on this. The first one last year, Deadpool Batman, sold out for almost every shop I talked to. It has gone through 4 printings. It is an in-demand, evergreen book that I can see people pulling out of bins and wanting to buy 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. This will be the same. People still buy the 50-year-old Treasury edition of this whenever they could, and this is modern, updated sales with some of the best people in the industry. I cannot stress this enough. Let your store know, because look at how many beautiful covers there are for this. A ton of amazing options. Let your shop know which one you want. Make sure that they know if you want multiple copies, if you want multiple covers. I think I averaged, no joke, the average customer that placed an order with me for Deadpool Batman and Batman Deadpool averaged 3 to 5 covers. There were the people who got one cover. But look at these masterpieces. Red Sun and Spider Hulk. Art Germ doing Silk and Spider Girl, or Silk and Supergirl. Adam Hughes. J. Scott Campbell. Scott Koblish throwing everything you can imagine from these two families of heroes on a cover. These are amazing. And the covers still go on. There's more. So let your shop know. I mean, got to get that Chrissy Zulo. Absolutely amazing. Kyle, which cover are you leaning towards on Superman and Spider-Man?
The one that's in our top 10.
Ooh, oh, well,
but
I'll have to
also
wait.
the Steve Lieber,
Ooh,
which is the F cover, is the one that I bought for my personal collection, which is Carnage and Jimmy Olsen.
there it is. That is a choice right there.
So again, like I've talked about this a lot on the EXP. I'm also getting the David Nakayama, by the way.
Yeah.
But I want a Wes Anderson directed Jimmy Olsen movie, like completely unhinged, weird Jimmy Olsen movie. And I think if we throw Carnage in there, that'll make that movie way more interesting. So,
and I love that unknown. I mean, you are 100% right. Like, there's too many good covers. Like I understand people who are like, look, I only want one cover. The story's only in one time, repeated with different covers. But sometimes, look, it's more affordable than buying posters and prints of this stunning artwork. So you got to add to it.
I'm also doing a convention later this year with Mark Waid. So there's
Ooh.
there's an amount of covers that I ordered solely for having them at the convention for people.
Yeah.
So we should not talk about what Kyle ordered on that book.
Well, should we talk a little bit about the return to Dead by Daylight, Volume 5? New 4-issue miniseries from Derek Fridolfs. You likely know him from some of his unbelievable inks and pencils in the industry and now writing. That'll be an interesting one for those of you guys who love a little bit of zombie horror gore. Then Department of Truth brings in Ben Templesmith. Yes, 30 Day Nights. Ben Templesmith is going to do an arc of James Tynion and the Force, Department of Truth. Very excited to see what that happens because we're going to go to a theme park in Florida. Wonder what could happen there.
They go get to wrestle an alligator?
Maybe something greater than an alligator. A lot of conspiracy theories that take place in Florida, so not too shocking the Department of Truth would eventually end up there. Then we get a Green Arrow Black Canary crossover in Tom Taylor's Detective Comics as we start these post-DCKO relaunches. A lot of great dynamic forces, available options there. If you like signed books, rare exclusives, or original sketches, your local comic shop, no matter where they are, has access to these if they can place an order for you through Lunar. Some great things available there. We have a brand new Princess and the Frog tale, which I know my son will be excited about. Tiana's Adventure Journal continues these great paper cuts graphic novels for kids that give more tales with classic Disney princesses. Tiana giving us a trip to New York City to further her restaurateur experiences. So that's going to be an interesting one. I don't know if we're going to get a little froggy on that one, but I'm all for more fun with Tiana. This is a weird one to state. Issue number 2 of Dork isn't out yet, but if you've been following comic news at all, you know that Dork is the hot book to get right now. A third printing already FOC'd, and I guarantee you already sold out on number 1. We're waiting on that second printing and then third printing to drop in stores for Dork. We're still waiting on the first printing of Dork number 2 to drop, but we have to get those second printing FOC orders in already, which is chaos. None of us like it. I guarantee you your retailer doesn't love this. I guarantee you don't love this because you're now fighting to get a first printing that hasn't even released yet at a fair price. But if you're a cover collector, if you are a gotta have them all kind of guy, this is going to be my Pokemon. I have to have this cover. I'm going to place an order for it. Keep in mind, if you want it, this is the way you guarantee it. You talk to your local comic shop before final order cutoff, so you're not paying those ridiculous aftermarket values on these brilliant must-own books. To the incredible John Petrie's claims earlier, the D&D Dungeon Club roll call. We talked about this with John, but we didn't get to show it on screen. This was one of his personal picks from Harper Alley. I recommend giving it a look, and it's a fun stock if you have a lot of D&D fans in your store. We can also say, aside from HarperCollins, Abrams is available through Lunar now. And if you missed out on Alex Ross's Fantastic Four Full Circle, the hardcover is back and available. $25 original graphic novel from Alex Ross. Alex Ross, written and drawn throughout. If you're a Fantastic Four fan, if you're an Alex Ross fan, you need it. 2 weeks ago, we had Tony Fleece on the show talking about Deathstroke, but he mentioned Feral 21. And he gave us that hint that he would not say out loud and made me read that at Feral 21, which is a silent issue, kind of like G.I. Joe 21, has a last page shocker that will make Stray Dogs fans sit, stay, and roll over and beg. Pretty clear what we're hinting at here. Stray Dogs fans, you need Feral 21, and it doesn't stop with issue 21. It's cats and dogs out there in a silent issue with a great G.I. Joe ratio incentive. Reach out to your local comic shop to see if they're going to be ordering enough to get you that awesome G.I. Joe homage. Now, things continue on for Wally West as Flash, as new twists and turns come in with a new writer for the series. Ryan North begins a new era after that crossover with Mark Waid for the DCKO. This is falling out of DCKO. A lot of great new covers we're paying attention to. But unknown, you said it in the comments, Cocaine Hippos? Yes, Cocaine Hippos are back. I talked about this. I believe it even made our top list when it was on FOC. And last week, Florida Hippopotamus Cocaine Massacre hit comic shops like lightning. Stores sold out. The aftermarket value on the book, ridiculous. We've been having a few of these, and it's weird because for anybody who's questioning it, every single one of those ones that question, Kyle and I talked up on this show, well, you could still order it before final order cutoff. Dork, yes. White Sky, yes. Florida Hippopotamus Cocaine Massacre, yes. Murder Drones, We've talked about all of these. So you guys are in the know. You know, you've heard us. Hopefully you listen. Spread the word. If your friends are complaining that they want these books and they didn't know about them, they couldn't get them, we told you guys. It's not like it's insider dirt that we're, secretly playing with. This is a reality. We get a chance to look at these things. We tell you guys what the big things are. We tell you to go to your local comic shop. We tell you to pre-order it. Think how impressive you will be when you start telling your retailer all these things and they become the hot new issues week after week. They're going to think you have the comic whisper in you. And Florida Hippopotamus Cocaine Massacre was it. Back with a brand new cover on a second printing of #1. If you missed out, don't miss out twice. Get your orders in on the second printing or double up with a new cover and get your issue #2 on order before this sells out again.
Yeah, I still can't figure this one out. But hey, Mathias, can we go back a couple of pages here on Lunar real fast to the first cat in space ate pizza?
Yeah,
You went too far.
I'm going to give everyone, motion sickness. Sorry about that.
One more. Right there. Yeah. So rats are eating the moon because the moon is made of cheese and there's only one person who can save us, a cat. So the cat goes to the moon to save us from the rats eating the moon. Or at least that's what you would think from the start. But it's, of course, not that simple. This is this great kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, Mathias? It's almost like an anthology of different adventures of the first cat in space.
Collective of, I don't know. Actually, I have really no idea what word you're looking for there.
Yeah, it's there's small short adventures of this one character, but told in one graphic novel. Again, think Dave Pilkey. It says right there, Dave Pilkey, Raina Telgemeier, Jeff Kinney. But this is one that's being resolicited. It's been offered through other distributors. If your shop didn't get it, and again, you have young readers in your life who might like a space cat, and like I said, the space cat tries to figure out how to clip his toenails in space, or how to deal with rats that are eating the moon, or other things that are uniquely spacey and uniquely catty. Check this one out.
Absolutely. And while we're at it, talking about great scholastic pieces, Five Nights at Freddy's. Every kid loves this, and not just kids, even adults seem to adore it. That recent Blumhouse movie sequel is doing great numbers. So if you haven't, if you need it, Scholastic and Lunar offer Five Nights at Freddy's graphic novels. All right. So I think I went a page too far. Well, let's skim through. We gotta start going quick on this. Obviously, we have G.I. Joe continuing on with more of the Larry Hama files. We have a brand new issue 600 of Green Lantern. Green Lantern 33 is the 600th issue, and they're bringing back some of the top creators in Green Lantern. Some of my favorites, like Ron Mars, return to tales of Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner, and more, as Kyle becomes the new lead Green Lantern of Earth. Hal has to fight for his position, and we get to deal with Kyle in LA, which, look, I remember when Kyle first moved to California under Ron Mars, and it didn't end well. There were some women in refrigerators. Gail Simone, though, ended up with a very lively career in comics. What will 600 bring? Let's find out. A lot of great covers. Once again, spinning out of DCKO on this. And man, if you think Scott Kobush does a lot, look at this cover. Woo. Harley Quinn also spinning out of DCKO. Obviously, where we're at currently in DCKO, she is one of the finalists in the big battle to be king of that Omega energy. So when she walks away, perhaps it is time that she ups her position in Gotham to be the Dark Knight, Bat-Quinn. Elliot Kalin is going to bring us all sorts of new fun as Harley Quinn ups her position. I love these covers on this. We're getting a wide range of Harley Quinn costumes and eras on it. Just going to be fun. One of these covers, I guarantee you, makes it to the top 10, and it is great. Another fun book I get to hold up is Mad Cave's Honor and Curse Eternal. I have an early Comics Pro edition right here to show you, but that means I got to read it already. I was a fan of the initial release of Honor and Curse for Mad Cave. I can say you don't need to have read the previous Honor and Curse storylines to get this, but they are available through trade paperbacks and in Lunar if your store wants to order them for you or you would like them to order it for you. This is a great tale of ninjas from 600 years ago. It is dark, it is twisted, but it is not manga-esque. It is very Western art style, actually almost near European art style. Mark London brings us a great tale. If you want badass ninja stuff, this is the book. Some great covers available. And then here's one I'm really excited to talk about, Hyde Street. Hyde Street 11 starts a brand new story arc. It is going to be reader-friendly, so if you've never read Hyde Street, you can dive in and start with this issue. You'll end up going back for more, I assure you, but you can start in and dive in with this issue. This introduces the Butcher of Hyde Street. But as our wonderful young kid, the boy you often see on the Hyde Street covers in a Boy Scout outfit, gets trapped within a horrifying Wolfman mask, it is up to our denizens of Hyde Street to help him out. And in that, we get the origin of Punky, our young kid on Hyde Street, as he gets to see the twisted story of how he came to be. This is dark, it is horrifying, and it will suck you into Hyde Street itself, whether you've been reading this issue after issue or if issue number 11 is your first opportunity. We are rare to be able to give you preview pages, but thanks to the wonderful people at Ghost Machine, we have a few here. This is just astonishing. It will creep you out. It will suck you in. It will steal your soul in very Hyde Street fashion. And again, you don't have to have read the first 10 issues to dive into this. Amazing, amazing book. This is honestly one of Jeff John's best pieces at Ghost Machine, and this is coming from somebody who lives and dies by Redcoat. You're going to want to grab this. Retailers who are paying attention, check your order options. There's a great way to get new readers into Hyde Street. So that is one of the things we love in comics, is getting people into amazing comic tales. Do not sleep on Hyde Street number 11. Don't sleep on Hyde Street or anything from Ghost Machine. But Hyde Street number 11, if you are a horror fan, is a 110% must own. Then we're near issue 50 of I Hate Fairyland. And I personally love Fairyland. Scotty Young has been bringing so much fun with this series over the years. I can't believe we're almost at issue 50, but dive in with more fun with Gert and all the rest of the crew. Even a great Invincible cover, which, how odd, allows me ever so wonderfully to bring this into Invincible Returns. No, this is not a return to Mark in new Invincible stories. This is a classic one shot that is being reprinted in facsimile form by the folks at Skybound. This is a must own piece. Look, I love that we got facsimiles of Marvel Team Up 14, but they don't have the key importance in the Invincible universe that this book does, because this is the first appearance of the Emperor of the Viltrumites. You guys got to see some of the sick, disgusting, and villainous Viltrumites in the last season of the Invincible TV series with characters like Conquest. He has nothing on the one true Emperor, or arguably Emperor of the Viltrumite race. Thrag is the villain of all villains, and you can get his first appearance reprinted in this very affordable facsimile with some amazing new covers currently on FOC this Monday. You're not going to want to miss out on it, because next season of Invincible, when we get to the Viltrumite War, the concept and name of Thrag will be scarred permanently into your brain. And I will tell you, he doesn't disappear with the next season. He doesn't disappear with this issue. He is the big bad. So grab this. You're not going to regret it. And if you haven't been grabbing capes, also set in the Invincible universe, definitely grab it. Dive in. I know it reprints a lot of older material, but there's additional story in it. And we're not done yet. It's not going to be reprints forever. So don't sleep on this if you want more in the Invincible universe. Capes, Battle Beast, must read for Invincible fans, and grab those facsimiles of Marvel Team Up 14 and Returns. Another exciting thing, Rebellion fans, obviously you've been seeing the trade paperbacks and hardcovers. We're back to getting the actual 2000 AD and Judge Dredd magazines in stores here in America, which, as an old English comic reader, I love getting these again. Judge Dredd magazine, $4.91. We're going to get them within like 2 weeks of release in England, which is a hell of a lot better than 2 to 3 or 9 to 12 months later, as we had to deal with often at Diamond. So if you're a Judge Dredd fan, there you go. And look at this. This is an all-star cast. Dan Abnett, Jeffrey Wassell, Nick Roche. Like, this is going to be a fun issue.
Well, and they've announced that they've moved printing to the United States.
Yes, they are
that stuff
printing.
will be a lot more reliable now.
Yeah. All right. Continuing the spill out of DCKO, Justice League Unlimited is going to continue on with a great new story arc here. Lots of beautiful covers available. We see a lot of these great HarperCollins books that we talked about with John earlier today, and ones that just sometimes need a little bit of spotlight attention, like Mama Needs a Minute. Amusing piece that even as dad I can relate to. Mark Spears' Monsters and the Wolf continuing onward. Murder Drones. I don't know if your local comic shop still has any copies, but this is one of those ones that sold out, skyrocketed on the aftermarket, as we are in that post-dork era of all the speculators and flippers looking for the next big hit. They're latching on to any of these under-ordered hot books that we already talked about on the show. So again, second printing is available. I love this new cover for Murder Drones #1. And I really did enjoy the first issue. So make sure you get the opportunity to grab issue #2 before it skyrockets in the aftermarket and has to be purchased secondhand.
I'll say this for Murder Drones. Make sure you go watch the cartoon either on YouTube or on Amazon Prime. It does make the comic book a little bit easier to read, just because you kind of will understand the timing and the tone of the voices. Having not watched it before I read the first issue, and then having reread it after I watched the first episode, it helps you to get the voices in your head.
I like that. I haven't watched it yet. I'll have to watch Murder Drones. Is it kid friendly?
No.
Okay. Not watching it with a kiddo. All right. All sorts of amazing books. One I am once again very, very excited to talk about. Superman 36. Yes, that is Superboy Prime. A character who first appeared in DC Comics Presents and played a major role in the Crisis on Infinite Earths. He literally changed reality by slamming his fists against our fourth wall. This is a character not to be trifled with. A fearful part of the Sinestro War, of the Legions of Superheroes, and more. Joshua Williamson is bringing back Superboy Prime as our protagonist in the main Superman title, while Clark is missing. I truly don't know what to expect from this, but I am beyond excited. This is a twist I wasn't expecting, and I am adoring. I also say I love video game homage covers. We get that. I love any cover where the comic characters are reading other comics, and we get multiple. Cover C has Superboy Prime reading Absolute Superman. Cover H has him reading the A cover to his own book, which is about as meta as you get with Superman or Superboy Prime. So this will be really fun. I think Joshua Williamson's got a hit. Brand new story arc, once again, spinning out of DCKO. Worth paying attention to. Now, here's a fun one. You're going to see a bunch of the Superman Day 2026 offerings on the Lunar FOC. Much like Free Comic Book Day, don't think these are going to be as simple and straightforward to order from your local comic shop as any of these other items we talk about, but reach out to your local comic shop and see what their plans are for Superman Day. Perhaps they're doing a big event. Perhaps they're running light on it. Talk to them. Let them know your interest in these things, and understand that every shop is going to be different in how they handle these items. But always be kind and respectful to your local comic shop and the wonderful staff at that store, because everyone has to handle these things different. It is a very unique situation, much like Free Comic Book Day, Batman Day, and other big events. But feel free to let them know your interest and what you're looking forward to on there. I want to point out for fans of Superman Day, it will be April 18th this year, April 18th of 2026, which is the anniversary of Action Comics #1 release. Now, ironically, Superman Day is actually going to be Supergirl Day this year to help promote the upcoming Supergirl film, which is kind of interesting because when Superman Day first premiered in 2013, it was on June 12th and continued to be recurring in June for every year up until last year in 2025, when they moved it to the release day of Action Comics #1 to promote the Superman movie. Now the Supergirl movie is going to be June 26th, and we didn't return to the June release date. So we will have Supergirl Day, April 18th, several months before the Supergirl movie. Nevertheless, look at all these amazing, amazing cover options and a lot of great Supergirl material, a ton of great crypto material. I am so excited for Superman Day this year. I know my store will do something big. I'm sure your store will do something big. Kyle, are you going to be doing anything crazy? Or is there any plans yet? Or is it too early to talk about what the EXP might be doing for Superman Day?
At the moment, we're not doing anything for Superman Day, I can say. But because we're gearing up for something that happens a little bit after Superman Day.
Ooh.
In terms of, maybe big dates in the comic book industry. In May.
Definitely something to pay attention to.
But that's not to say we won't do anything. We just haven't yet made that arrangement.
So keep an eye out on the EXP on social media and all of our wonderful streams to see what could be coming for the last Kryptonians. All right. Lots of fun with Thundercats. Thundercats 25, big key issue, is also going to have a preview of the upcoming Thundercats and Silverhawks crossover, which will have some major one-shots and crossover between the two ongoing series of both Thundercats and Silverhawks. A lot of great covers.
Thunderhawks. Caw!
I want the microchip version of the comic that opens up to having Kyle singing that.
Listen, I'll just make it for you. That isn't hard.
All right, there we go. It's going to be my new ringtone. All right. Great books on FOC. Make sure you check out Lunar Distribution and PRH Comics to see them all. Big one I got to point out, some amazing, amazing Void Rival covers and World Tree covers as those two series get bigger and bigger and prepare for non-comic media in their future. Animated options for both Void Rivals and World Trees on the horizon. So we'll end on the big note. We talked about White Sky before #1 hit FOC. We told you all to get it. We made jokes about the blank cover, the white cover of White Sky, which is apparently somehow now the expensive book. So it's not like we're not giving you guys this information, but I'll reiterate it again. White Sky #1 dropped a few weeks ago a week ago to phenomenal sales. Don't expect that won't happen again with White Sky issue #2. Expect a second printing of issue #1 also on the horizon. But issue #2, this is an incredible news story and universe to dive into. So get your orders in. You don't want to miss out. We tell you this all the time, and we tell you the ones to get. You don't want to miss out. So, Kyle?
Well, there's just something I want to make very abundantly clear here. If we're telling you to buy these books because Mathias and I's joint years of experience kind of lead us to believe that these are books that people are going to want. I believe we are entering in a new era, or a return to an era of Image Comics that a lot of people are going to be uncomfortable with, which is, at peak Walking Dead, every new Image #1 was the hottest seller of the week. People were ripping it off the shelves. It was going for huge numbers on the secondary market. And then they cratered because everybody was looking for the new Walking Dead. I think on some level we're seeing that again, a return to that sort of mentality. 100%. That said, when we talk about we think a book is going to be hot, we're not talking about that market. We're talking about we think your shop is likely going to underorder. We think your shop is likely going to sell out because of that. So you need to order your book early. When we talk about hot books, we're not necessarily talking about investment, right? So if you're buying a book like White Sky because you think you're going to quote people who bought a lot of copies of The Death of Superman, push your kid through college on White Sky, you're not going to.
Well, on that note, we're a little ahead of schedule. Can I go into a bit of a talk on on the reality of what happened with Dork? Please. Are you all right with that, Kyle? All right, let's do this. All right. So this is something I'm sure everyone's been talking about. I had to sit down with a ton of publishers, distributors, and retailers and reiterate this countless times. But this is part of what I do is consulting in comics. Dork hit the perfect storm. Some people called it market manipulation. That is not the case. This is the perfect storm. We were in the late winter months of comics, which is a time that notoriously publishers pull a little back and retailers definitely pull back on what they order. We order tighter. People are recovering from all the expenditures of Christmas. Kids are returning to school. We're preparing for spring break. Money's always a little bit tighter. Stores don't order as much. Then we're in a moment where we're also in how marketing of comics is happening is we're no longer marketing as heavily at initial order time. We're not even marketing as heavy as I wish we would at final order cutoff time. We're now at the point of marketing to the average consumer a little bit before release. And as we expressed countless times on this show, it is important to reach out and order your books before FOC to stores. So not everyone is clearly watching this show or talking with their retailers prior to FOC about options. And as such, somebody like, say, Brett Bean, who is a very brilliantly talented creator, is not always known. Dork is not always known to your average shop and your average consumer. So once stores have finalized their orders, marketing goes out, press goes out, podcasts go up, where people are talking about Dork and Brett Bean and how great this book is. And now your average consumer is going into a shop that may have ordered very low or no copies of a book like Dork. And they're saying, hey, I want this book. And the retailer is saying, unfortunately, we don't have enough because a few people have asked us, or we didn't order any. Understandable, but unfortunate. Now that person is going to go online to one of the major retailers or eBay or other options to buy a pre-order of this book. Now, here's where it gets interesting. We're in a world of speculators and flippers in this moment in the industry. And when they see a bunch of people going online to buy a book, they believe it's a demand. So they unfortunately increase that demand by going out to these same sources, big online retailers, eBay, and other options, and they're buying 5 or 10 copies because they're going to gamble on this. Now all the copies are drying up. And this leads to a snowball effect where everyone is hearing about this, and now they all want to go into their local comic shop and grab any copies available. And that leads to the aftermarket finally hitting what the speculators and flippers want, and prices going up because there is a greater demand than there is a supply. Now, in some ways, that is very unfortunate because it means that a great book is not easily obtainable or affordable. In some ways, though, it's amazing because it puts more attention on a book like Dork that might not have had that attention. I guarantee you, I will now have customers because of this drama that will buy Dork, not just for speculatory purposes, but because it was brought to their attention in a way that might not have otherwise brought it to their attention. And they will get a second or a third printing, fall in love, and grab every issue. That's amazing. But if you want to prevent the issue of these unbelievable aftermarket problems, because this will continue until it stops each week as people try and find the next big one, the answer is to talk to your local comic shop and get the information on books you want prior to final order cutoff. Because realistically, if you're nice to your comic shop owner, even if you wanted 50 copies of a book like Dork #1, and you tell them prior to final order cutoff, probably put a deposit down with it, you can get that many because we can order as many as we want prior to final order cutoff. After final order cutoff, all bets are off. The table is frozen. So that is a key way, is talking with your local comic shop about what you think is hot allows them to up their orders potentially and prevent this boom. But it also allows you to guarantee these books at the prices you want without having to worry about it, without having to chase it down on the aftermarket. But this is a big thing that with Dork doing that, now the speculators and flippers, as well as just us collectors, don't want to miss out. We're playing a game of FOMO, fear of missing out. And we're going to chase everything. And it will continue for at least several new weeks, much like, as Kyle pointed out, it did with Walking Dead, unfortunately, several months down the line from its release 20 plus years ago. So it's always that reminder.
There was also, again, I want to point out there was this era too, like exactly what you said is exactly what happened back then, right? But there was also this era where, you know, we're well into Walking Dead. We're Walking Dead 60, 70. People were still picking up every new Image #1 because they thought it was going to be the next Walking Dead. And they thought it was going to be a $300 or $400 book like Walking Dead #1 was at the time. So there's this idea of make sure you're buying books that you're actually interested in, not just buying books that you see on some website or some Facebook group or some app are really hot. And if you get lucky because you bought a book you're interested in, like I did with Dork, and it winds up being hot, you either keep it because that you're just going to keep it, or you can read it and flip it. Like there's nothing stopping you from reading a book you're interested in and then putting it on the internet and trying to make some money so you can go buy more comics, right? But if you buy a book you like, you buy a book you're interested in, even if it doesn't pop off, even if it's not the next Walking Dead or it's not the next Invincible or it's not the next Void Rivals or whatever, you still have a book that you love. So
that is the key.
Yeah, it's really important right now more than ever to think that way rather than going, well, I got to figure out what the hot book is this week so I can go make sure I order it and then make sure I go get it, or just get to the comic shop early and make sure I get the hot book. No. Buy books you like, because guess what, guys? I have a ton of books in my collection that are worth way more than Walking Dead #1 that I bought because I liked the book, and now here we are 25 years later, and I'm like, I just sold a book that was $2,000 that I waited and waited and waited because I loved the book and I didn't need to sell it. And now it's popped off because they're making a movie.
The difference between the NFT market and the comic market, sustaining value, is the books that sustain value aren't just rare. They're demanded. and they're demanded, not because they're rare, because they're good, because they created things that we enjoy and that stand the test of time. Now, I really want to say, if anybody wants greater details on my full explanation of how this works, I gave the short summary. I can give you guys unbelievable detailed information on how these mistakes happen and all that. That is what I do in my consulting, and feel free to reach out to me on that. And I can tell you horrifying secrets of the industry on there. But I'm not giving that information out for free in a podcast. We're talking about comics, and we want you guys to find the things you love and not miss out, not have to pay an aftermarket value. So tune in every Friday to Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff show, so you can be ahead of these things. Not because it's a stock market of comics, but because we can tell you what is worth reading. And more often than not, we've hit those big ones to where if you listen to us, you were able to get it at cover price from your local comic shop, which is the most ideal situation for any bit of sequential art love.
Speaking of, we should probably get to the list.
All right, let's do the top 10 for comics on FOC Monday, March 2nd. Now, I already mentioned our honorable mention, Alan Moore's incredible collection, The Complete 2000 AD by Alan Moore. So many wonderful stories that not all Americans had the easiest access to. But I grew up with 2000 AD. I always adored it. And I can tell you, these are some brilliant, mind-blowing story tales that will just change your perspective of what can be done with comics. If you've ever loved Alan's classics like Watchmen, V for Vendetta, Swamp Thing, even his Wildcats, this is a must-own. Then spot 10, Jim Rugg gives us a very wonderful callback to the old romance comics of the 50s and 60s with April Fool's Day on this awesome cover where we have to ask, will Deadpool ever find love?
No, he won't.
Poor Deadpool. In spot 9, Thrag, the Emperor of the Viltrumites, haunts the Void Rivals. Beautiful, beautiful Lorenzo De Felici cover on this already great tale as we come up through the penultimate, I believe it's the penultimate issue. Oh, no, I believe it's out of 6. Never mind. But we get past the halfway point of the Quintesson War. So, always fun. All right. I mean, anytime we get this iconic imagery, I love it. Whether it's a real photo with the creators of the comics or just a drawn homage. Bruno Redondo does what classic iconic moment?
Step Brothers.
All right. Justice League Unlimited, number 17. This is just going to be a great cover to own, whether it's an aftermarket value or not, but I think it will be. I love that. Remind me, who are the actors from Step Brothers?
Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly, thank you.
Yeah, I laughed for a solid 5 minutes at this. If for no other reason than the very first episode of the Producers Live Sale, that's Jay and I. Like, I photoshopped our faces into that. Like, that is every great duo needs to do this at some point.
I also am not going to lie, I kind of want a Booster Gold sweater now.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking I want a Blue Beetle one. So, works out all right.
All right. One of the most infamous... Oh, sorry, what?
This homage.
Yeah, one of the most infamous Todd McFarlane covers ever. That infamous Batman piece gets homage by Gilliam March on Harley Quinn 60 as she becomes Bat Quinn. I love everything about this. The stool she has to stand on to get her height, the leaves she's throwing up instead of bats, Poison Ivy's very delightful caress. This is homage perfection. Because sometimes it homages it too much, and it's just like, all right, cool, you basically traced the original. This is just understanding what made that cover great, and then parodying it to the best.
Yes.
Love you, Gilliam March. That's awesome. Mark of Invincible, wearing Mr. X-Rays glasses. That is a haunting soul to collect. I wonder if he can actually pull that into Hyde Street, because I definitely don't want any Viltrumites on Hyde Street. This is an amazing cover by Ivan Ray that hopefully, once again, will be a great way to draw some people in to this perfect jumping on point in Hyde Street 11. Look, this book was going to be in our top 10 regardless, but then you throw on that Invincible cover and it easily landed its spot in number 6.
Yeah, I don't care about Invincible. Like we've talked about this, but I want this as a t-shirt.
Ooh.
Like I love this piece of art. This is phenomenal. This might even make me go back and read Invincible. I doubt it, but it could.
All right, Godzilla's Monsterpiece Theater presents Romeo and Juliet and Godzilla. A comic by any other name wouldn't smell as sweet. Elizabeth Beals does a great movie homage there. And yes, to go back to Kyle's delightful quote, Mecha Godzilla makes his cover appearance there. Man,
Don't
Verona,
waste your Godzilla on someone who doesn't value it. That is the last quote I will give that's actually from Romeo and Juliet. Or, good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say good night until it be Mothra.
Yeah, and I believe, is that Harry Met Sally, the poster it's homaging? I'm confirming it right now. Yes, it is. Harry Met Sally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I love it. Oh, and then, really quick, I just got to say, like, Verona is not going to survive this collision.
No.
All right. Spot number 4. I am excited about the return of Superboy Prime. Every time he's ever arrived back in the DC universe, it's been a big event. So why would this not be? And then, again, that ultra meta, him holding an absolute. Look, the absolute fans are going to come out for this somehow. Somehow they will. It's just a great cover. Rod Ray's always brilliant covers, but the meta of this, perfection. Then Tony Fleece and Trish Forrester bring the cats to the biggest cat of it all, Battle Beast. Yes, it is a feral Battle Beast Invincible crossover cover on the G.I. Joe style silent issue that will have a Stray Dogs tie-in. This is just everything. G.I. Joe, Invincible, Stray Dogs, Feral, all in one. Masterpiece by Tony and Trish. I want to order like 50 copies of this, and I don't even flip my comics. I want 50 copies for myself.
Just as a thing, the trade dress on this, we just need a little bit of a bigger gap between part and 21. Just a little bit bigger. Because in my brain it keeps saying Feral Peralta.
You're not wrong. All right. Number 2. Man, I tell you, these Invincible covers, I go out of my way trying to not have these be in the top 10. You have no idea how much I consciously say, I'm not doing this. And yet here we are. Look, it's White Sky. It was an unbelievable. If you had the opportunity to read it, which I'm hoping even those of you who own it took the opportunity to read it. White Sky was a great read. It was awesome. I love this weird new universe. I love our young female protagonist. I'm haunted by whatever those horrifying things are that are pursuing her. White Sky is great and will continue to be great. So issue number 2 earns its place on that alone. Earns its place because of the ridiculous aftermarket value these will continue to bring in for a few issues. And then you throw in Mark Grayson from Invincible, and it just becomes perfection. It is a trifecta of awesome that earns its spot at number 2. But number 1 unquestionably had to be the crossover that took 50 years to reestablish. The Last Kryptonian reminds us that with great power comes great responsibility in a DC and Marvel crossover of Superman and Spider-Man. And the J. Scott Campbell cover featuring our upcoming film star Supergirl and our delightful Gwen Stacy of Another Dimension, Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider. Perfection. There were a lot of great covers for Superman, Spider-Man. It was hard to choose. This is the one I had to choose. Kyle, are you with me on this one?
100%.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing. Let your stores know. Let your stores know which covers you want, how many copies you potentially want. Let them know you want this, because I'm sure you want this. Everyone wants Marvel and DC crossovers. Superman, Spider-Man, #1. I am very excited for this inevitable release and all of our awesome top 10 items. Do not wait. Right as we finish up this show, reach out to your local comic shop with a list of what you want before FOC hits and finalizes this Monday, March 2nd. A lot of great books. And again, that way you're ahead of the curve. You're not chasing these things on the aftermarket. That is what this show is. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your fellow comic shop patrons and your local comic shop. You don't want to miss out on these books week after week. We are the answer. Order up. Final Order Cutoff. I don't want to act like we're the only ones, like we're doing something special. Final Order Cutoff. The concept is the answer. So take advantage of it. And with that, Kyle, what do we have coming up on the EXP later today?
Well, later tonight we have Nick's original art show, where he will be doing his original art thing, like he always does. And then you'll have Nancy McCann from Friday, Comics Unlimited for Friday Night Live from Comics Unlimited in Cleveland, Tennessee. Then we may have some special programming this weekend that we're still working out. So be following us on social media as we figure all of that out and we make those announcements.
I mean, who knows? I might even be in some special program this weekend. Who knows?
We'll see.
All right, guys.
Make sure you're following us for all of that information when it comes up.
Thank you all for watching. Please spread the word, because, I mean, I can't tell you how many people I got to talk to in the last week who amazingly watch the show and love it, and I think that's great. But also how many people I talked to that were like, I didn't see any of these things coming, like Dork or White Sky or Florida Cocaine Hippopotamus, Super Long Name Mad Cave, Ultra Crazy, Florida Man, Fun Fact #1. It's a long title. It's what we're here for. It's not to be a speculatory throw that gives you guys information of how to make money, though sometimes we can be that. Our objective is to make you aware of these things so you don't miss out on them. And we want to make sure everyone is aware of these so they can all enjoy these brilliant comics. So thank you all for watching. Get your orders into your local comic shop, and we'll be back next Friday.
See ya.